Of course, there's also no distinction possible between the natural, the supernatural, the normal, and the paranormal. This is a huge delusion within modern science. The term supernatural and paranormal, these are completely relative terms. And these terms change with the times. And science is constantly moving the goalposts with these terms. What's considered normal today and natural today, and what's considered supernatural and paranormal today, this will all change 100 years from now. So, for example, you might consider that a ghost is supernatural and paranormal, and therefore it can't exist, because everything, according to science, has to be natural and material and normal. But then, let's say, using some new technology, science is actually able to see ghosts and study ghosts. And so they do 100 years from now, let's say. They're going to study these ghosts until they reach a point of scientific consensus where people agree, okay, ghosts exist and we can study them, we can capture them, put them in a cage, using a vacuum cleaner or whatever. And then at some point, people will get so used to ghosts being real that nobody will question the legitimacy of ghosts. And at that point, ghosts will not be considered supernatural or paranormal. They will just be considered normal and natural. And then some other thing, like unicorns, will be considered supernatural and paranormal until you discover a unicorn. And then, again, the unicorn will be labeled as natural and normal. This has been happening throughout all of human history. So when scientifically minded people deny certain phenomena because they seem supernatural or paranormal, this is a pure mind game. These are labels of demonization that the mind invents in order to deny certain categories of reality. There is no definition of what is normal and what is paranormal. Basically, what a scientist means when they say that something is supernatural or paranormal is what they mean by that is that it's so outside of the current conceptions and paradigms of science that it can't be real because our current paradigm forbids such a thing from existing. That's essentially what supernatural and paranormal mean. But of course, as the paradigm of science expands, the notions of what is supernatural and paranormal will completely change, and that which used to be considered supernatural and paranormal will cease being so and will become scientific. There is no distinction possible between science and pseudoscience for this same reason. Because to know the difference between science and pseudoscience, you have to do science. That's what science is about. You can't assume ahead of time what is pseudoscience. For example, at one point in human history not that long ago, X-rays were considered pseudoscience. X-rays were considered hocus pocus. Today, they're considered totally normal, totally natural. Today, you go to the dentist, and when he, scans your teeth with the X-ray, you hardly even bat an eye. But if that happened to you 100 years ago, 200 years ago, you might have considered this dentist a quack and a charlatan and some sort of witch doctor. There is, in fact, no distinction between technology and magic. Technology is just magic that you've become so used to and that you understand how it works. Therefore, you just call it technology and you take it for granted. Whereas magic is simply any aspect of reality which you don't understand the mechanics of how it works. And therefore, to you, it seems magical. That's it. That's all it is. If you took a modern day cell phone back to ancient Greek times, they would have thought that you're a witch, that you're a sorcerer, and that you have some sort of magical device. And they wouldn't have considered it technology, they would have considered it magic. Likewise, if somebody came from the future to today's time and, had a teleporter machine or time travel technology or faster than light technology or whatever, even, a computer that's going to exist 100 years from now, if that computer was brought into today's time, we would consider it pure magic, and our scientists would not know how it works. For example, if we discovered an alien spacecraft on Mars and we brought it back to Earth, we would basically consider it magic because the technology would be so advanced we wouldn't understand how it works. It would be equivalent to magic. And it would seem very mysterious and maybe even supernatural and paranormal because it would be so weird and so different from what we're used to. You see, you have to understand that very much what science considers natural, physical, and normal is simply anything that we're very used to. This is completely relative. These terms are virtually meaningless. They change every century.